now I have some beer in me. I'm like,
No,
what about we just call off?
There you go.
What about we just
have to.
Do I have to come in today? No. Be nice.
Well, shall we start?
Let's do it.
All right. Episode 15 of the Final Mix.
Wow.
What is going on? We got our guest, JareB, or
Woo-hoo.
Jared, which you prefer?
It doesn't matter.
It
Jared's
doesn't
fine.
matter? All right.
Love it.
Well, yeah, so for our podcast, we usually do like a very informal conversation type vibe. So we started off very well, trying to get to know you. So who is Jared? Who is JareB? How long you've been in the scene? What kind of music do you play? Like, give us a little taste.
Okay, so I'm Jared. I go by JareB. I've been probably, I'd say DJing since like midway through college. I got quite a story. So I played college basketball for like my first 2 years of college, and then after that, kind of like transition, team was going a different direction, and then music kind of filled a little hole in my life. Kind of like any sport or any athlete, you always get pumped, you always get inspired by like music. Hip hop was kind of my initial
Same.
kind of side of things, and then I studied abroad and got into like listening to like EDM, and then that kind of got me into the whole EDM side of things. Kind of, everyone goes to the basics, and it was right around, I'm gonna exploit my age almost, I feel like 2010, 2011. So right in the like mid prime of like when the States was starting to get into the whole EDM world and everything. So right now was kind of the basics, the Dead Mouse. I would start listening to like BBC Radio 1 with Pete Tong and everything. And then from there, I dove into it as like a mild hobby, and then didn't realize it was gonna kind of be such a big like part of my life, or maybe more or less fill in that like gap that I had with basketball and stuff. And then I ended up going to medical school, and then going into doing the whole physician thing. So now I'm a fully big boy doctor now.
Oh, big boy doctor?
Yeah.
Wait a
second.
What do you practice?
I do critical care. So
Like ICU type stuff? Or?
So wait,
my mom's
so-
an ICU nurse.
very cool.
all right.
Basketball to EDM doctor.
yeah,
And still DJing? I'm trying to make it
my
big
friends
now?
always gave me the doctor by day, DJ by night
That's
That
fire.
is-
vibe. But even though I work
Insane.
nights, so it flips whenever I'm
Yeah.
off, I guess.
No, that's awesome.
Did you ever think about doing a play on that, like on the doctor DJ kind of thing?
I've had a lot of people bring that up, but I kind of prefer to just kind of separate in a professional side. I've had some
Superman,
people
Clark
bring up
Kent.
the idea of changing my alias to Dr. Kelly, and as much as that was a cool idea, I just feel like in terms of professional kind of sides, it's probably nice just to separate, but still like slowly try to incorporate. Because I think when I was transitioning and doing this music stuff along with trying to balance the medicine, there was still a little bit of a stigma at the time.
Yeah.
About like you shouldn't have like another career. You got to be focused on medicine all your whole life type of thing. Nowadays it's lightened up a lot more. Like people like you're starting to see other people, lawyers, whatever, have different careers and have these like different hobbies outside of their
That it doesn't
career.
affect their
Right.
yeah.
Like I think when I was starting out, like there was still that mild like stigma about like, oh, you do something else outside of medicine. Like that's kind of weird, especially where I went and practiced. I was in New York and stuff like that doing my clinical rotation. So those are more the hard knocks, the old school
Yeah.
places have been around for 40 years. So like,
Wow.
they haven't changed their ways. So
A doctor with sick beats.
yeah.
That's crazy. Like that's just crazy. I just never. Can you imagine? Like you have somebody come in and be like, I got super sick at this rave last night. Wait a second, you look professional. Oh, you were DJing. You were just like, yeah. No, I'm here to take care of you. Yeah.
It's like, here's your prescription, and here's my SoundCloud account.
Yeah,
I haven't done
just
that yet.
put
I
your
have not done
ad
that yet.
on
I
the
will not do
prescription
that.
label.
Yeah, the prescription.
I will not do that, and I have not done that. So.
No, that's good. So, okay, you talk about the stigma. You're talking about like that you don't want to do that. You don't want to say that you're coming off unprofessional, right? And that's all understandable. But why? And I come from like the veterinary side of things. I was trying to do veterinary for a while, and I was gonna do the whole vet route, and then college, I was just like, nah. But why couldn't you give your SoundCloud to a patient? What's wrong with that?
That'd be interesting.
I think it's I feel like it's kind of a little hard to explain. I don't know if it's more of like, it's not that you can't.
Right.
I think in just terms of like, there's this side of like professionalism.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, and
Could
then
you
the other
imagine
thing too
your
is
MD,
like, you know,
here's my sound.
yeah, exactly. And then the other thing too is like, obviously a patient's they trust you in your life. And so it's like, oh wait, he does this. Like there's, see where that like, you can see the stigmas come around where it's like, can I trust you to do this? You do this, you do what? Like, if I gave you my like SoundCloud, like
If you have like a little QR code on your desk or something, or maybe you have like a full skeleton with headphones on, and you have your QR code on his chest, and you just leave. You don't say nothing.
I mean, I've seen like a lot of because now you can. There's a lot of people that are physicians that do the big DJing stuff. I forgot the guy's name off the top of my head. He's from England. That kind of makes a big scene, and he does like he integrating medicine on top of like. You know, he does the DJing, so it's like his angle.
Oh, cool.
So, like, that's something I'm going to try to explore a little bit more now that I just kind of feel more comfortable with the idea. And, like, you know, that stigma part is kind of phasing away. But I think I still would separate things a little bit. I don't need to be, like, promote stuff to patients. And, like, in my term of field, I'd probably be the most awkward situation to do it because I deal with more life and death situations to be like... yeah, your loved one's is not doing so hot, but here's my SoundCloud. I don't know how that would.
I have the cure right here. It's my mix. Listen to this for 6 hours. You'll be good.
Yep. Yeah, prescribe them.
Music therapy.
Start sending them solfege frequencies. You know. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, though. I mean, yeah, I guess I understand the professionalism aspect. It's just, especially with you being an ICU nurse, critical care nurse, like that's, or doctor rather, sorry. That's, my mom's a nurse, an RN nurse. Yeah. And, yeah, man, it's crazy what you guys have to deal with. It's crazy being in critical care. But I guess less about that, more about the music aspect. Right. What music do you do? I saw that you produce. I saw, obviously, you DJ. You won this podcast because of the last show that I threw with Suki. You won the contest there. Had a great set there. So, like, what's a set like, and what kind of music are you into?
So I initially was like, obviously, getting involved in this stuff in like 2010, 11. Like, Big Room was kind of the big thing for me, and that whole stage. And then I kind of just went into the more like bass house, kind of equal in the tech house thing. I think what I've noticed and like what I've gradually liked over the years is like just kind of like low end, that groovier low end kind of style that a lot of like bass house, tech house kind of has into itself. And then slowly I've just kind of incorporated it into what I do. So like initially I had like some big artists that were like Orlando guys like Henry Fong, like Dallas K, Milo and Otis. I don't know, like they're not necessarily what I do, but they were like part of that scene because me and my buddies would go to like UCF a lot, and there was this place called like Dragons, and they would always play there before they started blowing up. So a lot of my music is inspired by a lot of that style. 2017 kind of like EDM stuff. I can ramble up a bunch of other artists, but we'll be here for a while. But I think I've just finally settled into the idea of like this, like more the house, bass house, tech house scene is kind of with still my like influence of like that anthemy kind of big room, something that would be like more or less played at festivals or like your bigger clubs kind of vibe is like what I guess Stamp would be the like perfect label idea if you think about it, like Mark Garrix's label. If you wanted to get an idea of like music styles of like where I feel like I fall into more or less, but
that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear you play again at the next show that we got on December 22nd.
Stoked for that.
Dude, very excited to see you play your guest slot on there, contest winning slot. So
so how was that first performance? I want to hear about that first, like you seen him play, like what because you were telling me a little bit about it, but like kind of he was telling me kind of the energy that you brought and like your play style was like something that kind of haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I think it was mixed with like there was the tasteful tech house, like you always got to drop some housey stuff, especially like the event that we had was completely open genre, so you could have done more bass, you could have done more house. From my perspective, it seemed like you stayed more on the house side. But yeah, there was like kind of that older 2013 sound, I think, that was brought into that set. And that's a really hot sound right now. There's a lot of people that are kind of going back to that. Whether it's nostalgic or they just like the sounds that were curated at that time. So I think it's interesting when I hear an artist that plays like Martin Garrix, and there's that. I don't know if you exactly drop Martin Garrix, but like I remember hearing some songs and some remixes that were like, okay,
In that sound,
exactly. And you mentioned his label right now, like like I can see that, and I saw that when you performed. So it was cool.
I appreciate that.
It was cool.
Also, on a side note, I didn't think I was actually going to win that thing. So I was like, I thought my set was actually like, I thought I could have done a little bit better on some transitions. So I was actually kind of shocked I won it. So
well, everyone,
I appreciate you all choosing me,
dude. Of course. I mean. I wouldn't say it was like a no-brainer necessarily because there were some other great artists there. Like everyone put down a great set. There was a lot of artists there that I wasn't familiar with. Like I wasn't familiar with you. I wasn't familiar with Ryan Young. I wasn't familiar with. I forget who played. Who else? It was you, Corncob, KST, Ryan Young, and Papa Bean. I didn't know Papa Bean either, but he was fire. He had a great disco set.
That was sick. That was really awesome to listen to. I enjoyed this set a lot.
Yeah, it was a really hard choice for me personally between you, Papa Bean, and freaking Corncob. I also am kind of biased because I knew Corncob and I knew KST before, and KST had a feature set with Melee. So he kind of disqualified himself from the competition by doing that. But yeah, dude, I thought it was really cool that you brought a different sound compared to Corncob's bass and the disco and whatever KST was throwing down. He had some UKG and all kinds of stuff. He threw down some drum and bass and stuff. But so we are trying to do more stuff with like R34 and some of the other like house collectives, and especially people out of like TK Lounge and stuff. So it's cool to kind of be able to identify with artists such as yourself that like have that party house sound. Like everyone wants to go back to a party. Everyone wants to go back to Kesha and Pitbull and Katy Perry and
it's
like
coming back.
It is. It's coming back right now. People want to
have fun.
Black Eyed Peas, they want to fuck, and they don't have money. So it's like, dude, all those songs from back then that are like, my rent was due a week ago. I got $5 in my bank account. It's enough to pay for the cover.
Bro,
the girls can get free drinks for us. Like, let's fucking party.
Dude,
like,
people are going through a lot right now. Like, bro, at one of my jobs, they play Black Eyed Peas' "I'ma Be."
Yeah.
And then the second part of that song, where it like kind of goes into like house, like more like electronic. I'm like, bro, this shit's hard. I'm like, I'm gonna be pumping some Black Eyed Peas in my car today. Like it's people want to have fun again, and like. I don't know. It's a very weird time for music right now. Like, I mean, for the last couple of years, people have been going back. Like, whether it's been like in pop the '80s, like people are trying to bring the '80s back. It's been happening for a little minute now. Now, I guess in like the whole electronic scene, it's like 2013s and stuff like that. Like even the other day, we were talking about. Skrillex, bro, like how one of the songs that we're remixing, like we want to start doing some stuff.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of great Skrillex interviews, which Skrillex never used to do interviews, so it's kind of crazy that he's dropping all this free knowledge now.
The way that it's so funny whenever I look at photos of Skrillex, like when he first came out to now, completely different. Like that dude was like, I'm gonna fucking change this look. Yeah,
he went from like tech wook to like
a H&M
hot
model.
Boy, H&M model.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, all right. No, that bald fade did something for him, dude.
And then he got, shout out to Skrillex.
Shout out to Skrillex, dude.
Glow up of the
Skrillex on our
century.
podcast.
Still doing what he's doing.
But
I mean, I actually like second that because, like, well, everyone knows that like fashion just comes into a revolving. It just goes into a circle depending on the year and depending on how many years it takes to get around. I think like, we're kind of getting into this like this tech house. We're going techno, hard techno, like this stuff like. I mean, look, someone can correct me if they want to, but I feel like it was like right around those like 80s, 90s. Everyone wants that warehouse vibe. That was like a very big 90s thing. The reason that like, unfortunately EDM got like such a negative vibe too sometimes is like with that warehouse scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, and it depends on the trajectory, is like maybe the wheel's going to go back towards that, like we were talking about before, like that 2000, like when I was starting, 2010, 2011, 12, that style of EDM, but maybe it's just going to be, obviously, production's been, through the roof different compared to that day, and it's like, I think that was a loudness, we were talking about loudness wars, I think, back in the day of like that, and like how squashed as hell you can get that damn thing to look like a damn sausage, so, but it's just interesting, like the full circle thing around it, and I think the other big thing is like longevity.
Yeah.
Like with a lot of artists. So that's like something I always keep in mind, like keep what I like, but also play around with what's going on in the scene. Because honestly, like that's what kind of keeps you there. I mean, I know there's a lot of artists that just they're only into the scene because of what's going on right now.
It's true.
It's like not a negative, and I don't mean to bash on people, but it's like understand that like this is going to change.
Yeah.
Tech house, this techno, this hard, everything that's going on right now is going to change probably in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of what are you going to do after this, or if you just want to ride the wave and enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
But
we try to be more visionary, like when we do our artistic shit, which we have to start dropping more songs. We have so much stuff in the bank right now. It's ridiculous.
I think, like with all trends and all current music, it's always like it's always developing. It's always going, whether it's creating something new or going back, you know. And I think, like you said, like everybody wants to kind of do like the warehouse thing right now. Like to me personally, how I feel, I am upset. Like me being about to be 26, like I'm upset that I missed out on like early 2000s, 90s, like goth, rave, crazy, like, you know, you see early 2000s
you see all
movies,
the memes
flashing
and
lights
shit.
and stuff, blah, blah, blah. You know, like
movie.
a Blade club, you know. And I think people want to like experience that. And yeah, like that stuff is hard when everyone has a phone in their hand and there's cameras there. Like before it was like, okay, I'm going to let loose and go crazy because I can do it here, and then the outside is the outside, versus like nowadays it's like whatever you do is somebody's going to see it. It's going to be caught on camera. You are, so many people nowadays are like, I don't know if I want to dance because this person isn't dancing. I don't want to be it's weird. It's like, so like when I hear about clubs like earlier on and people are like, yeah, we went in there, you danced for 5 hours, you're sweating your ass off, and then like you leave and that's it. And I'm like, really? I'm like, now you go to a club, you buy expensive ass drinks, you stay still and like maybe talk to a person or two. It's like, it's weird.
People don't
bro.
even really want to
It's all
talk
about the
half
status.
the time.
Yeah, and then you got to be careful what you say. You know,
Dude,
it's,
the VIP thing. Don't even get me started.
oh my god, that's the
well,
thing.
I mean, I feel like every DJ is like guilty of being like, oh, I need to be behind the DJ booth, because there's always those memes about like, where does everyone want to be nowadays? They want to be like back behind the DJ,
Yeah.
versus actually in front of the stage,
Yeah.
and like
That's
everything like that.
why do you think that is though?
clout.
Yeah, mixture of
They're
clout,
like,
mixture
bro,
of like status, because now that's becoming the new thing. Like,
Yeah.
the DJ is like, oh, I'm as close as possible to the DJ. For me as an artist, you know, obviously the big reason we want to do it is to as close as possible we can get to them, the closest we can start making connections, and,
Yeah.
and the closest we can like get our foot in the door to potentially play at these venues, if that's what most of the motive
They
is.
want their moment. They want like.
That's what I think it is. It's the social media, like, celebrity,
it's
like,
if,
you know,
think
like,
about a
main
boiler
character
room
moment,
set.
you
Like
know,
you have the DJ, and oh my god, I'm gonna be next to the DJ. I'm gonna also be on the camera, and the DJ is gonna make a drop. I'm gonna go like this. People are gonna see me go like this.
Yep.
Next to the DJ who's already doing this. So like.
Yeah, the boiler room thing is funny. You
DJ.
see people like make their way to the
That's what it
front
is.
so they can be in the camera angle, and like because they know it's going on a stream somewhere, and they know it's.
I
like,
would appreciate you way more if you weren't behind me. Just go. Why don't you, instead of fighting to get behind me, fight to get in front of me?
in front of me, yeah, so I can lock eyes with you. Like,
There you go. And then you really have everybody like behind you. Like fuck, he's as close as he can. It's like getting to the rail. You know what I'm saying? Like just fight your way. Fight for it.
Fight for it.
I want to see you motherfuckers fight to get close to me, not just go behind.
Dude, I saw Bear Grylls at Myth like a week ago or so, maybe 2 weeks, and that shit was crazy. That was like, I'd never been to Myth nightclubs in Jacksonville. It's
Yeah.
really tight packed, and I was right there, like from me to you, away from him, and it was crazy. He had mosh pits going left and right, and
That's-
like, I was in some crazy ass mosh, dude. Especially the
I'd be
last one. He's
terrified to
like,
be in a mosh
I
pit
want
with
to see
you."
this shit open up, and it did. The whole crowd damn
A
near became a
gaping
mosh
hole.
pit. And I had bought a Bear Grylls hat, and I like had gotten some sprouts and stuff, so I had them on there. And it got bad because people started throwing bows. So I was like,
Oh my
clutching up type shit, and someone caught me like right here. And I started bleeding, and I like bled on my hat.
Wait, so when you get hit, like, what do you do? Do you just stop, or you
Well,
just
yeah.
you
So
have
when
to keep on? You
like,
have to fight
I'm
your way
good
out.
with getting hit, shoving, shoulder checking. Like, but when you start throwing bows, or like people at metal concerts start like windmilling and stuff like that, like you're just being a dick, in my
I'm
opinion,
good.
just being a dick. And so I caught one of those bows, and at that point I just like put my head in my hands and like tried to find the exit.
Fight back,
but you're
pussy.
so
That's why I want to
disoriented.
go to VIP now. I just want to avoid all the
you can choose
haymakers.
not to be in the mosh pit. To be fair, like I chose to put myself right there.
Yeah, but you're a big dude, bro. Like,
Yeah, well, dude,
if
people usually don't want to mosh with me, so that's why I was excited that they
you were like, let's go.
let's
And then
fucking
you
go.
caught
And
a
then
bow to the
and I'm
face.
like, oh, great. Well, fucking
The one
bitch.
time I
Like,
have fun. Just pull him to the side. Bro, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Let's have a come and jizz moment real quick. Why
Come
would
on,
you do
bro.
that? But
Be for
you
real.
don't really have to deal with that in like a house set, you know.
Nah, we're-
Dubstep,
we're a little bit
maybe
more
a little
chill.
bit, but rhythm, absolutely. But
Oh yeah.
not house. So, yeah, like what kind of music are you making right now? Are you producing at the moment? I saw that you produced.
I am. Yeah, I'm working on some stuff right now. Like, well, my last month of the year, trying to finish out some stuff. I've started releasing a few things to label, so fingers crossed on that. And then some collabs have started coming through, so it's like staying busy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Collabs, like
Yeah.
like bigger artist label type shit. Or?
Some that I've worked with before, so someone just sent me a good track, and then like a couple people I know from like music groups. I'm involved with Cosmic, so I got signed up with Cosmic Academy, and
cool.
like that kind of changed a lot of the game. So a lot of those people there, and then me doing like getting involved with like the radio thing. I've always done this for I don't know how many years I've done it for like 5 or 6 years. I've been doing a thing called Bear Radio. And I finally this year was able to get like my stuff up to like track 1001 track list.
Oh, cool.
So I thought it was like a
Oh.
big accomplishment because
Yeah.
like I've always wanted to like help promote artists. Like even the biggest to the smallest, like getting that number and getting that recognition of like how many like radios and mixes does your track get on, like helps other people get exposed and stuff like that. And like it's opened up a huge world for me. And actually one of them I literally played 2 of his tracks like this month, and we're already working on a collab. So it's like that crazy little like connection of just doing that.
Wow.
That's
like
awesome.
opened up a door for like a new collab and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, and also just it opened me up the door with other labels and connections too. So like if any artist want to consider doing something to get yourself out there, like I'd recommend like the radios,
Oh, yeah.
the live streams. I just started doing the live streams this year because I finally just got like CDJs and stuff like that just to play around with.
Oh, cool.
And then I'm gonna start. I just finally decided to like put those up on 1001 track list too. So like the more content I can get out there, and like radios and stuff like that, the more people see it and they be like, I want my track played on this radio because it's like at least I can get you that like those plays on those kind of websites and stuff like that. So it's like a win-win.
Yeah.
Like I get a little bit of recognition from them, and then they get the recognition, and it adds up for the tracks when they're on that 1001 track list too. So.
And so maybe explain what 1001 track list is, so like our viewers, because they might not be familiar.
I guess in a general sense, it's like a big DJ hub for like mixes from everywhere, from even like from like the EDCs, the ultras, like from festival gigs to like my things like radios and stuff like weekly radios. Like mine's a monthly thing. I can't, unfortunately, with my work, I can't do it weekly. That's just going to be impossible, or I'm going to drive myself insane. But so basically, it's just like submitting the track lists up there, and they have their own like chartings and like rankings and stuff like that. So like obviously, the more a song gets promoted on different mixes or gets played in festivals and stuff like that, like you collect points. They have like a chart for being like the most top ranked chart or song of like whatever genre or whatever thing like that. So it's a cool little website.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty dope.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I
So it's
fucks
kind of
with
is it
that.
kind of like Mixcloud? Would you say? I mean, I've been on it, I've seen it, but I haven't really used it a whole lot. I haven't
Not really.
uploaded
It's
to
like-
it.
Well, I mean, you can upload like your Mixclouds, your SoundClouds, YouTubes. Twitch is what I try to use now for the live stream. I'll eventually get into the YouTube part of it eventually once I kind of figure things out a little bit more, or just dive in.
Right.
But it's kind of just more like a platform of like DJ sets
Oh.
for the most part.
Cool.
And then it's like, then from there they've created their own like charts and stuff like that. They have their own little, it took me a while to finally get like what's required for me to upload this stuff. Like you can't just go up to them and be like, I DJ, and and I really want to support people. It's like, nah. You gotta like, you have to have like your own music supported by like a couple of artists. And
Oh, really?
I forgot the numbers. It was like I think it was like 3 tracks supported. up there, or like one of your tracks supported by like 10 different artists. So luckily that happened this year, so I was able to get that door open for me, and I think it's really opened up a lot of things, surprisingly. So especially like the collab stuff, you know, getting labels and some ARs to kind of send me music from their like labels I would eventually want to get signed to.
Right.
And I always just make it a point to be like, all right, I'm going to put this track on the thing. It does get a little overwhelming because I'll find some songs that I like missed out on in my spam or something like that. I'm like, shit. Like and I feel like a dick for like not including it. But then there's sometimes I promise someone, I was like, I can't put this on. It's like, and it was more for a vibe situation. It's not necessarily that I hated the song. It was just like the way I was going with it, the flow I was going with this mix, it just didn't fit.
Yep.
And like that's gonna be so. If anyone has not gotten their track on my thing, I'm sorry, and it's more or less that's the issue. So
that's fair.
Yeah, but
so when you get like you said that a DJ, it's supported by a certain DJ, right? Like you see that a lot with DJs who are trying to promote their music. Like you said, you know, I have this track and it's supported by this bigger DJ that you already have listened to. So the fact that they like it means that you should probably like it too. So listen to it now. Like, what does that mean? What is supported by when you're talking about like in terms of an A&R situation?
I mean,
you know?
it helps out a lot. I mean, I was just gonna say for labels, it helps out. It helps out for promoters if you're looking to, for like if you want to play at clubs and stuff like that to get yourself in the door. Like the promoter has to talk about you.
Yeah.
Like you have to, like, you know, most people still use EPKs. Some people don't. But you know, if you have those things, like I was supported by this. Like this is what the promoter has to tell the clubs. Like this DJ was supported by so and so and so and so. They've played at this place. They've been signed to this label or like and stuff like that. So like it's the talking points for like. How can we promote enough people to come out and be like, you should come see this guy?
Right. So as a DJ, if you're going to put that on your resume, what kind of support are you referring to? Like they played your song on a set, like you're signed to their label, like what qualifies as this DJ is supporting or you are supported by?
I think it's more or less
DJ?
both, actually, because some artists do have labels, so you can be like supported by.
Right, like Noizu has his own label, Wax
exactly.
Motif has his own label, like
or,
so you would have to
individually.
submit your track, and they would have to be like, okay, we want that track. You're going to release it under our label. We'll probably play it at one of our sets, and at that point, you're supported by XYZ.
I mean,
you know,
most of the time people put it up on their SoundClouds or Instagrams. It's on their bio, it's saying supported by X, Y, and Z or whatever, or even label like signed to these XYZ labels.
Right,
so like that's kind of like I guess the way everyone knows you've been supported, and then they go out upon themselves to look at it. The easiest way is look on Spotify. Prove it.
Right.
If it's on their labels or if it's on, like that's the other thing too is like monthly. How many monthly Spotify listeners? But I think sometimes that's a hit and miss. What I've been.
Yeah. So SoundCloud's very interesting for me because where I find my SoundCloud most useful, I guess, or applicable, is when I'm applying for DJ contests, like mix contests. And so I've been beat out by damn near every single one that I've applied for, which is I'm sure most people are familiar with. And the reason why is because somebody else has more support. They have more likes, they have more follows. Maybe they have a better quality set at the end of the day, but I think it's really more about like how much, the power of social media. And like, it's crazy that some people have that kind of support on SoundCloud because SoundCloud is its own beast, really. Like you can have nothing on social media, but have hella SoundCloud support just because people are digging on there. They're crate digging on there.
I think it had a lot of like spark back in the day, like when I was starting.
Oh, like 2016 era? Oh, for sure.
And then it lost it. I think it lost it a little bit because of that copyright issue. And now I feel like it's starting to pick back up a little bit because they're regaining that refollowing. And then Spotify had that opportunity. I think they did have a situation where you were able to do mixes and put them up there. And I think they got into a situation where that just wasn't reasonable to do. But SoundCloud now has allowed. Because I used to be Mixcloud because of the copyright thing. I would get so screwed on that. Like, you couldn't throw up a mix, and it's like, look, I'm just here to support. Just like I was saying with a 1001 track list type of thing. And, you know, you would just kind of get screwed with, you know, unfortunately. No,
those SoundCloud, or those copyrights, they kill you, dude.
You know, I had to do a lot of Mixcloud with it. And then now as SoundCloud's gotten a little bit more lenient with it, like I've actually used less Mixcloud and more SoundCloud. in terms of like uploading mixes and stuff like that because they just allow me to do it. So which is kind of awesome. But because we know that unfortunately, like I like Mixcloud, it's a great source. It just doesn't have the same like following and the same traction as that's the word I was looking at.
It's not in the consumer base.
As SoundCloud does, and especially as much as Spotify. But like, yeah, I mean, I guess we were talking about like just like labels and artists and just being sponsored. Like, they can always be proven on your like Spotify, and that's what we're talking about. Like Spotify, like followers and your monthly followers and all that kind of stuff. And then that's where like that gets a little gray area too, because like the power of social media and being like, you know, you could have an amazing following and like eventually you just don't have a track yet. You can maybe have just like 50 monthly followers, but you know what? You're still playing at all these big plays and festivals and all this kind of stuff. And like you got this one guy that's been producing a heck of a lot, and he's like, you look at his music and it's like, this is dope. He's got, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 monthly followers, but like, why is he not in those other people's shoes? And it's all because of social media. It's crazy how much that's turned like into the thing to do, and like that's now a new obligatory thing to do. You have to make that part of your routine. Like if you're not producing music or you're tired of producing music, you got to find a way to do something on social media. Like,
even if you are producing music, I think if you're not using social media, and we're kind of guilty of it, I mean, we try to use it as much as possible, but sometimes it's just, you got to put so much into it and you don't get what you need out of it, and it becomes discouraging. And like you see other people out there that do. They put in maybe even a fraction of the effort and they get like a huge response back, and it's like kind of discouraging, but you got to keep going with it. Our problem with social media is we haven't done like a full 30 days in a row. I hear that is what separates people, especially on Instagram. If you can do 30 days straight, which I'm trying to do like 25 days of Christmas right now, but if you do 30 days straight, apparently the algorithm starts to favor you a lot more. It's kind of like once you get 1,000 followers, like you start getting a little bit like the algorithm favors you a little bit. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's social media has games that you have to play with it, and that's what I don't like about it. Like, it's not about human psychology. Marketing used to be about human psychology. And if you knew how to read people, and you knew trends in the economy, and you knew trends in marketing, or like fashion, you were saying it goes in circles. Like, if you know that shit, then you should theoretically be able to take over. But now social media has created this whole other obstacle where, like, in my opinion, it's very contrary to what you actually need to be doing. Like, you have to do it anyway. You have to embrace it. That's the only alternative right now. But like, for me, I find myself doing so many things to cater to social media that I just wouldn't do if I didn't have to do it.
I mean, there's technically still trends that happen. Like, there's always like TikTok. Like,
but like,
I mean, this is probably going on a tangent on TikTok, but like TikTok has its trends that blow up, and then if you follow that trend enough, but again.
Yeah, but you got to be quick on it. Like, those trends are like a week or two. You know what I mean? They've gotten so short now. And if you're only that's what I'm saying. If you're posting every day and you're on social media every single day, you probably follow those trends better.
Oh yeah.
And you can 100%. And the algorithm favors you because if you're feeding back into them, then they'll show your shit to other people, and like that's how people blow up. But if you're not posting or viewing every single day, then you get left behind.
Or just not like, or not just like, and this is like a big thing. Like, I kind of learned with like the Cosmic Group too, is like not just doing music. Like, music is only one side of your whole social media. Like, people want to know you as a person. So, and sometimes that's the hardest thing for an artist to do, is to like express yourself outside of sitting around on your computer all day creating music. Like, who are you as a human being? Because look at it, like if you look at any of the artists in any genre, they have a personality. Like, we all have personalities. We just some want to express it more than others.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Like, you can give any example from any genre. They have a personality you know about, like, because of social media.
Right.
They're not just, here's my new track, bro. Here's this. Listen to this. Oh, it's coming out this way. I signed with this track. This is that. Like, that's one part of it. Like, that's like, at best sometimes.
Like 20%, 15, 20%.
Say, like, probably 25 to 10%, even 20%, right in the middle. Like, the rest of it is, what are you doing? Like, what is your thing? Like, what's your angle? It's like, kind of, I mentioned a little bit at the beginning, like, with that one guy that's like a physician and he does the music, he has his little angle. Should take advantage of that a little bit more often, but like, that's kind of a key thing too, and I think that's what people lock into, and that's how you have these people that were like social media people, and now they're like going into the EDM world, or like they're going into the DJing world at least. Like
Everyone's doing it now.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what's been killing me recently. Is I feel like every time I hop on social media, I see a new person that's celebrating a year of DJing, or 6 months of DJing, or like a year and a half or 2 years of DJing. I'm like, you guys are doing this shit and succeeding and killing your shows and getting hella followers and you're making revenue at this point, and you've only been doing this for 2 years? Only been doing this for a year? Like, damn.
Well, it's just like rap. It's just like rap. What happened to rap music? Like, you have really great MCs, and then you had people who just kind of hopped on, and now that's why like hip hop's like dead now. You know, like it's
that's why I'm hoping it doesn't happen to dance music.
It's rough, bro. It's rough.
in terms of what, like
oversaturation.
I think it's already happened.
It's already happened. Well,
I think it's happened like a long time ago.
Especially,
I think you see a lot of it like at EDC. You saw, I heard at EDC.
That's a whole other conversation.
But I'm saying
I think it depends on your genre. If you're noticing it more or less in your genre because it's becoming like, for example, I mean like, drum and bass and rhythm and all that stuff is like starting to become popular now.
Yeah.
So now, I think the people that are really diehard about that scene is going to start hating the fact that like, that's mainstream. Or I was going to say this as a side note, main stage, like that new word for big room.
Main stage. You're right. It is. That's it's just big room rebranded.
So, it's just whatever's the big hot thing now, and you're going to see the oversaturation in that genre probably happen because that's the hot thing. Kind of going back to the what I was saying about like longevity. I'm going to jump on this wave of rhythm and drum and bass and stuff like that. And then it's like, well, this is all I know how to do, and like not keeping a longevity to it. Or it's just like, I'm just going to ride this wave just for the heck of it and enjoy what I have and go from there.
You bring up a good point, right? So like, what do you think about genre-specific DJs? Because there's a lot of, I see in the DJ culture specifically, I mean, bands have their own thing kind of too, but like DJs, they lock into a genre and they produce that genre and they get signed to those labels, and like they're a house DJ or they're a bass DJ. Like, but there are DJs like Justin J and San Holo and Wookie and like Diplo, and like there's a lot of people out there that cross between the two genres, the dark side and the lights, the house side and the bass side.
Like
but
another
like
person too is like Tiesto.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, Tiesto's a pioneer, dude.
But he's like, those are those examples of people like that do longevity.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of podcasts that kind of discuss this whole concept of like some people hate the singled out concept of being one genre versus like being labeled as one genre versus like, oh, you have to be this and that. But then there's a side of it where like, your fans have to find out who you really are too. So like if you're just gonna like, for a new artist, if you're just going to ride the wave of, like, for example, drum and bass or rhythm, and then the next popular thing is progressive house, and then you just jump ship from that to go to progressive house, like, you're like, okay, so what the hell is this guy, like, what, or he or she, what do they do? I mean, if they're good at producing it, that's great. They're a phenomenal producer, but, like, that's where I feel like, at least for me and my vibe is, like, keep what I know, keep what I like as, like, the foundation part, but, like, you can always take bits and pieces of what's new and hot and implement it into your style. Like, it doesn't always have to be a complete 180 every 5 years. This is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. Unless, like, you're just really passionate about it. And, like, because some artists were just like, I got onto this big room thing, but I'm this kind of artist. Like, so I guess maybe, I don't know if this is a really good example or not, but, like, Mal P.
Yeah, that's a great example.
So, does anyone know what his original artist name was?
I remember hearing this. It's going to kill me when you say it, because I think I know what you're going to say.
So it's Mouse West.
Mouse
Wow.
Mouse West?
Mouse West?
Mouse West. I could be pronouncing it wrong.
Wow.
So he's a big, like, if you look at his other profile, he was a huge big room artist. And this was just a side project.
Huh. Wow.
And he just kind of rode the wave with that. I mean, but he's
young as fuck.
And he was just as successful in the big room scene as he was, like, the actual, like, the real hardcore big room, like, the old Hardwell, like, all that kind of vibe.
Really?
Like that.
Okay.
Like, I mean, it's hard, and not everyone.
You can hear that. You can hear Hardwell influence in his production, like, really, significantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean,
so like, okay, but like, now he's back to doing the same shit. Now he's big room and
or what's considered right now, I guess, main stage big room. But
yeah. Well, okay, so like when you're talking big room, you're talking about like 2013 big room.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that'll ever come back because there's a lot of people that want it to, but that era, the artists that made it, the sounds that were made, like nothing, that it won't ever sound like that again.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
At least you'll get like little bits of it.
Yeah.
But I guess like, okay, kind of going back to like the idea of like being singled out versus. I think it's kind of a mixture. There's not really, I think, a right or wrong answer to it. But like, I guess you gotta understand the positives and negatives of doing that.
Yeah.
You know, could you lose? You're going to probably lose some fans because they wanted more drum and, like for example, like I was saying before, drum and bass versus, now you're creating this new artist sound because that's the hottest thing going on. Versus, do you do a longevity thing where you keep everyone, like you kind of more or less keep most people. You're not going to keep everybody. It's not always, you can't favor you can't. No one can always like you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always gonna have people that hate you. There are gonna have people that love you. So, I guess it's just a matter of, do you keep a longevity with like what's happening though, staying within. And it's up to you. I mean, like I think there's always going to be people that, as long as if tech house and all this stuff kind of dies out, or drum and bass and rhythm eventually dies out, there's going to be people that want to listen to that.
Yeah.
Like that's not, just because it's not popular doesn't mean that it's a dead scene.
Right.
You know, we've been talking about Big Room being dead for how many years, and we still listen. We still hear it. We still listen to it. It may not be as popular now, and maybe not what like your clubs, your promoters may want, but there's always going to be a scene for it. You know.
I think you make a good point about that though. Like, since Big Room died, but we still have Main Stage, I think that's a huge testament to where the culture has gone. Mm-hmm. It's left the clubs and gone to the festivals.
Yeah.
I think, I never went to any of the big rooms in fucking, like, New York. Like, you're talking about the warehouse scene. Like, New York has a huge, like, their clubs are just fucking massive.
Exactly.
And, like, it's the same thing in, like, Europe. Like, all those European clubs and stuff like that, like, they're huge. Like, I mean, like, incomprehensibly huge. Like, I've been to the Vegas clubs, but, like, that's it, So I never, like, that sound that was cultivated at those places are shutting down. Like, some of those, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like the very memorable, all the memorable venues over in like Belgium and like over in France and stuff, they're all getting shut down because that's not where the shit's happening anymore. Everything is like open air outdoor festivals and like the big stages, the main stages, like you're saying, the big productions, the 4K LED walls, the fucking drone shows, all that shit. Yeah.
Fuck that. I'd rather go to the club.
Yeah.
I got into one. I went to Pacha in New York. Okay. I played there. My buddy, shout out to Joey.
That's crazy. You played there, dude.
He got me in. Actually, if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't be sitting with y'all because like he was the one that brought up my music stuff because I kind of slowed down a little bit when I was in med school. So shout out to Joey Trizzo for that. But anyway, he got me in to play at Pacha. It was the one in New York City, not Ibiza. I wish one day. And like what you were saying, like those big club style themes. It was funny because you would enter in, and it's like a small little upstairs, and all they play is hip hop, and then you've got this like, I don't know, a good like 6 inches thick glass thing. You're looking down, and it's like you go down the stairs, and it's this like giant, like obviously like the real raver, cold as hell, like upstairs, downstairs, kind of like all EDM kind of shit. And like their classic thing is they have this obnoxious train horn.
Really?
And it's like, it's so crazy. I think I played with like Sander Van Dorn was the headliner, but I mean my set was down in the basement, but still like.
That's awesome.
Being able to play those sets and then like go upstairs and like watch his set and stuff like that. But like, that club, unfortunately, I actually did close down like the year I played it. So, but like you were saying, like that was years ago, and it's just crazy how those like bigger clubs are just starting to lose.
Yeah, man, they can't keep the people in. And I don't really know much about it. I just know that it's transitioning from those clubs into the open air thing, and it's kind of interesting. Like I have a cousin of mine, his name is Matt Ane. Shout out Matt. He gave me his hard drive that had all of his shit from like the era that you're talking about, like 2010 to 2013. And I don't know, he probably played at Pacha, or he probably at least went there for sure. But he was born and bred and raised fucking New York. So like he went to those clubs and he was in that scene, and like he tells me stories about that shit, and like I play his music from time to time on that, and it's crazy.
I mean, Space is probably the closest.
Yeah, and I haven't even been to Space, honestly.
I haven't been to
which side,
Miami,
that's kind of exposing myself on that one, but I still need to go there.
Like that's kind of the closest we get to like that scene a little bit. I'm assuming, but even then, like we're talking about saturation. You know, festivals are starting to get like how many festivals just start popping up left and right?
Oh, dude, the festival scene is crazy. I mean, it's probably unsustainable, the amount that are popping. I mean, we're talking about doing a festival, you know what I mean? Like and we're not going to do an EDC style festival.
No, I know.
Obviously, you got to start them small, but like they pop up all the time. There's a festival grounds like 30, 40 minutes from my house, like camping festival area, and they literally have a 365-day schedule now. Like every day is booked up with some sort of festivity, like weekend long, whatever the fuck.
It's like, what is it, like starting next year, like I feel like every other weekend there's always going to be a festival, like, oh, this festival is like, what? Like,
yep.
What,
yeah.
Since when did this
Who's that?
Like,
It's like the new thing.
But there's $3 million. It's a $3 million budget, so
I know.
I don't know where the fuck they get the startup money,
Good
but
for them. But.
yeah. It's crazy, like especially what the artists are charging now. But I mean, that's what it takes to make a festival and make an event happen, I guess.
I've learned that from a couple of people from that had the opportunity, like, again, rolling back to the Cosmic Kids, like, that have been successful and played at these events. It's kind of crazy how they get into that scene and then, like, what they get paid and all this kind of stuff. And then we even learn, like, in that group, too, you learn a little bit about what to expect initially from that kind of stuff. So, like, you know, how much of a budget that, like you were saying, like, they have $1 million budgets, and, like, how much of that budget, you know, you would think is like, oh, they're just getting this because they're a big artist, and it's like, no, that part's coming out of their pocket. Like all the pyro and the fireworks and stuff that you see at like EDC and all that kind of stuff is like that's coming out of like the artist's pocket. And people don't realize that like sometimes these guys go even.
Yeah,
which is wild.
To get those big opportunities, they pay extra for sure.
They don't go. They usually just get you get enough of the fame, and that's what it comes down to. Is like, this was a sick set. I'm gonna keep following this guy, and that's like you get or he or she, and that's like the fandom of moving forward type of thing, and all that to kind of go even or negative,
depending on the opportunity. Dude, that was what was crazy when what was his name? I can't think of who it was. Fucking The Weeknd did his Super Bowl. He went like $10 million in the hole. Yeah, just with all the production.
They don't get paid.
Yeah, they don't get paid much. I think they get a $7 million budget that they get to use, and then they can put extra into it or something like that.
But they don't get paid. They don't get paid. The Super Bowl is enough payment for you, even though like
not no more though. There's a lot of people that turn it down now.
Yeah. Well, I mean now Jay-Z's heading it, and he picks the artists, and like. Now Kendrick's doing it, and then there was the Lil Wayne. Yeah,
that whole beef, that was pretty funny.
I hope they go at each other's
hip hop, right? That's what we.
Yeah.
We tried to pop off like in 2016 with hip hop production, and not necessarily 2016, but the years like following it and stuff. We were riding that wave.
Yeah. I'll still argue that my era in like my high school years, like the early 2000s, was still the best hip hop.
I believe.
And some
I agree.
People will,
100%.
Agree to disagree, but. So
100%.
That was party hip hop, dude. 100%. That wasn't gangster hip hop. That wasn't gangster rap. That was like party hip hop. Good shit. Playing in clubs. Like, there was like a mix. I don't know. The only person that was really making gangster rap in 2010 was 50 Cent, in my opinion.
Well, earlier than that, but
earlier than that, 2000s.
He was the last.
Talking about
he was the last of the Mohicans when it came to like real kind of rap and stuff, and then like everything changed with the Kanye West Graduation versus the 50 Cent album, and Kanye West won, and then they're like, okay, hip hop's gonna change, and it changed. That whole
changed.
battle of like, but like this was like hip hop's dead now. Like
the Biggie Tupac stuff that like used to like
like
that,
even the biggest artists now, like Kendrick or they release an album, and 300,000 first week, right? That's great numbers. That's great, but like. Bro, like when Kanye West released the album, like it was like 600,000. It was like it's crazy numbers, and like now like Amigos artist will drop something, or just like a normal rapper drop something. It's like 70,000.
I was gonna say mostly it's like usually it's under 100,000 K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the biggest, like if it's Drake,
100K.
J. Cole, or Kendrick. But I'm like, bro, like there's no way you're making money. There's no like. whatever 360 deal, and then we all know streams aren't paying you that much. Like, it's it's just so flooded that it's like I really, it's hard for me to listen to any new rap. It's so like
DJs are smart, bro. They got all of us paying $1.29 to $2.50 for a fucking track.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's bro. It's like a pyramid scheme. That like the DJs will drop a track, and then all the other DJs are like, "Oh, I need that track," and they'll pay like literally $2 for the fucking track on Beatport. Like,
or just the transition now. Like, you know, back in the day, it used to be the singer or the rapper that was getting all the fame, and the producer would just be at the bottom of the credits, and then now it's flipped.
Which I think that's how it should be, in my opinion, because the producer is doing 90% of the fucking work in any of those tracks. Any given track. I don't care what Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Rihanna track you're listening to, bro. The producer is doing 90% of the work in that, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's how it, I don't want to say should be, but like, I think it's great that producers are getting more recognition. Right. I think it's interesting that some producers refuse to be DJs, like, and some DJs refuse to be producers. I don't know if that's necessarily shooting themselves in the foot. I think the DJs refusing to be producers might be. The other way around, not necessarily, because some producers are just bedroom producers, and that's all they are. But they make a shitload of money doing it. So
I think it's stage their own. You know, there's not like there's not a right or wrong to this industry. Like, you can, if you just want to be a resident DJ, go right ahead. If you just want to produce music and don't want to be on the stage, like, you can be a ghost producer, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, I think it's just, it's the world's your oyster kind of in this industry a little bit if you think about it. So
true.
There's no right or wrong, and it's just how do you want to mold yourself out of it. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited to see how you mold yourself and what you continue to do, bro.
Thank you.
This is a great interview. Do you have any other?
It's been great.
Bro, you killed it. I loved it. I think you had some good insight and like really good in-depth takes. I'm excited to see what's next for you. Do you have anything planned or?
Actually, I do have a release coming out this Friday.
Oh shit!
So it's coming out this Friday. It will be out on like Spotify and all that stuff.
Awesome.
So on Interplay Records. So little label. I think that outside of that, I don't have another release till like January, and then outside of on December 22nd, that's gonna be my next set. But I got a couple of things in mind. I'm gonna keep them on the hush a little bit. So before I want to make them more legit before I start making big announcements. So you don't want to jinx it now and then be like, that's awkward. It didn't happen. So
I feel that.
But yeah, I'm gonna work on some things. So this is like literally the whole month of December is gonna be finishing up music, getting ahead on some music ideas so I can get the next year started and start getting the ball rolling on some plans and ideas I want to do for 2025. So,
dude, awesome. We can't wait, and I can't wait to hear your new track and your set.
Hell yeah, brother.
22nd, dude. Thank you so much, Jared.
Yes,
JareB. This is episode 15, right? Episode 15, the final mix. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.